Portland sign looks good this morning. Just waiting for the walk sign, and we're going to keep on creeping. We got to go down to Burnside, so we'll make our way slowly to Burnside. Brr. It is cold this morning. Happy 2022 to you. Love you, Kreepers, for always tuning in. It's about, well, last time I looked, it was about 30 degrees out, and it's January 1st, 2022, early, which I always love. Well, a little bit of action down that way, but pretty darn quiet, and which is always nice to get out and enjoy, you know, kind of the peacefulness of the city. Not so much traffic and folks out at the moment, but today is definitely going to be an interesting one. There is a ton of music venues here in Portland, but one that stands out to me is the Crystal Ballroom. That's right, McMinimum's Crystal Ballroom. It's now, since 1997, the building's got a ton of history, and more importantly, two very famous musicians played there together, teamed up, collaboed, and one of the musicians actually fired the other musician right on stage. That's right, Little Richard and Jimi Hendrix. We're gonna go there now. I'm gonna tell you guys more about the story. Stay tuned. It's a cold one, but it's gonna be a good one. See you guys back here when we get a little bit closer to the venue. So yeah, originally opening in 1914, if you can believe it, as a Coalition Hall. Many names and performers played here throughout the years, including Marvin Gaye and some other very well-known folks, but two very famous folks that you may have heard of played right here, and basically right probably in one of these levels here, the first level, the second level, and then the third level being the dance floor. Little Richard, that's right, Little Richard, years previous, had met Jimi while he was on his way back from a European tour. He actually met Jimi Hendrix while Jimi was playing with a few other bands, including Ike and Tina Turner. He was the guitarist for them. And he also performed with Gorgeous George, and that's how Jimi actually was introduced to Little Richard. Little Richard was on his way to another gig and was friends with Gorgeous George, kind of harder to pronounce, when then young Jimi Hendrix was, you know, a fan of Little Richard and approached him in his van, and Little Richard liked him right away because Jimi actually dressed similar. They were very flamboyant with, you know, headbands and different, you know, styles throughout the years, and Jimi related to his style, Little Richard being kind of, you know, eccentric or kind of just a unique dresser at the time, up until his, you know, final days as well. And Jimi approached Little Richard and said, "Hey, look, I'm a fan, and I'm playing with these two other gigs, but I need a gig." And at the time, Little Richard said, you know, he didn't have anything. He didn't even have bus fare, so he put him to work. And so for a good year and a half, Jimi would tour with Little Richard, and this was apparently one of the spots that they would come to. Let's go across the street and get a better look at the front of the building, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about how, well, the story goes. I'll leave it up to you guys. You guys will let me know in the comments below what you believe, but the story goes Little Richard did fire Jimi Hendrix on stage here. So as the story goes,
on April 5th of 1965, Little Richard and Jimi Hendrix did a show here. They were actually in Seattle the night before and then came to Portland on April 5th. And apparently Jimmy was late and had been late to many of the shows after Little Richard basically put him on. He was known to flirt with the women. He was always, outside of the venue. And when he was on stage, though, he could really perform. And a lot of people think that not only his lateness, but his actual greatness is the reasoning why he was eventually actually fired by Little Richard's manager and brother, Robert Benjamin. In a book later on that was produced of Jimmy's life, it was told that Jimmy and Little Richard didn't really get along on stage, and that Little Richard was actually upset because when it was Jimmy's time to kind of shine or show his guitar, skills, he would really just kind of take over the show. He would outshine Little Richard, and at the time Little Richard did not like that. So apparently his brother Robert was the one that fired Jimmy right the night of the show. And apparently when they were on stage, there was controversy and talks that Jimmy, not only was late for the show, but it had some other antics with some women involved at the show. And right before they were actually going to perform, it was quoted by Little Richard, or it was actually stated that Little Richard was quoted saying, "What, boy, can you not play?" And when he looked at Hendrix and stated that with such fierce, you could see it in his eyes that he was highly upset that Jimmy, not only was late again, but tried to really outstage him again as well. So Little Richard and the Upsetters, which was the name of his band at the time, really only had Jimmy performing from late 64 through January of 65. So little less than 2 years, Jimmy actually was a part of the band. And there is record of him touring with Little Richard on and off after this performance. So it kind of makes sense that, there was problems afterwards. But just a beautiful venue here in Portland, Oregon. And like I said, this place has been here since 1914, but McMinimum's brothers took over in 1997. The building was actually abandoned for years until the McMinimum's brothers kind of took over and kind of worked their magic and booking a ton more music events over the years. And just a very beautiful historical place here in downtown Portland. And I just love the backstory of a lot of the performers here. Grateful Dead, just a ton of folks over the years. But in 65, Jimi Hendrix apparently fired on stage here. I'll let you guys be the judge. Now, years later, there was an interview with Jimmy where he talked about why he chose to, at the time he told everybody he chose to leave the band, and that Little Richard actually never let him go. And it was apparently that Little Richard didn't pay him. Jimmy said that Little Richard, for weeks was without pay. So that was the reasoning by the time he had so many different problems on and off with the band, missing different tours and actually playing in others. There was just no money being involved. So he said he had to cut him loose. He was actually quoted saying, he had no hard feelings with Richard, and he was actually very grateful for their friendship. Now, years later, somebody made an album. I believe it was called Friends Forever or Friends from the Beginning. It's an album neither of them had any part in, but a lot of folks knew of their friendship and their, kind of collaborative things over the years. So kind of unfortunate that they never actually got to make amends. And I don't think there was any hard feelings on either parties. Little Richard, actually, before he passed away as well, did a quick little interview about his thoughts, which I thought was really cool. I'll leave a little audio clip at the end here so you can think or hear about what he thought and his, his take on everything. But I think he knew that Jimmy was special, and you can kind of hear in the audio clip as to what he states. Definitely a cool story. Not sure if it's 100% true. Let me know what you think.
He was a star. When I got him, he was a star. Sly told you that everybody is a star. The only problem is some people haven't been put in the dipper and pulled back on the world. That's what the answer is. That's what the answer. You got to be placed into the dipper and pulled back down on the world, and then men will see your good works and glorify God Jehovah. Jimi Hendrix could play that rock and roll. I used to be singing rock and roll, getting woo, 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 be gone. He have that thing just romping and tumping all up under my toes. At times, he used to make my big toe shoot up in my boot. He did it so good. He gave it all to you. And that's what you want. You want it all or none. But Jimmy had this perseverance to go on. He didn't mind looking freaky. Like I don't mind it. Because I was doing it before he was. And I know when he saw me, he gave him confidence and great recompense of reward, my Lord. Trying to spread a little joy and love together to show the world that the end is not yet, that I got to take you higher. Not off of some cocaine, a piece of grass, or some heroin. But Jimmy was going to take him higher than that. And he's always wanted to be this big star. But you know, I never got a chance to see him after he made it. They would never let me come back. He said, why? What did I do? I had something to tell him. And I never did. So now I have to talk about it and let him know it was good. I just want to let him know that I knew you was going to make it.
That's going to do it for today. If you're new here, make sure you hit that red subscribe button. You can ring that bell. That way when I creep, you guys will be the first to creep. If you did enjoy this, give it a thumbs up. Till next time, Creeper out for now. Peace.